This is a Rogue Media Network production.
Stars at night are big and bright. Deep in the heart of Texas, the prairie skies are wide and high. Deep in the heart of Texas, deep in the heart of Texas.
Well, hey, hello there, and welcome to Blah.
Blah.
This is a King of the Hill podcast. I am Mike.
And I'm still Rusty.
He is still Rusty. Rusty, we're back in the saddle here. We're back to the normal grind.
Season 9, episode 1, which
Yeah.
I believe is the 170 something. Hold on. I had
Okay.
it pulled up here. 172nd episode, actually. We are now so we always kind of end the season close to where we start the next one.
Yeah.
Ends up being, the date wise, ends up being way further.
Oh, shoot.
Season 8, episode 22 or 3, whatever the last one is.
Right.
We were close to the air date, like in actual real time, like, May whatever 19 or 2000, whatever it was.
2004.
So now it's November 7th, 2004 was the air date of this episode, and this one was written by Dan Sterling and directed by Trisha Garcia. So, yeah, so this one's good. It's got Henry Winkler.
Is it shoot, what's her name? Misery. Is she the one that plays the mom?
Joanna Gleason.
Oh, is that who it is?
That's the one that plays Maddie Platter, and Doc Platter is played by obviously Stephen Root.
Yeah. She sounded like oh shoot, what's the woman from Misery? Kathy Bates. She sounded like
Kathy Bates.
Yeah.
Kathy Bates. Yeah,
I could have sworn it was Kathy Bates. Hey, now here's one thing I noticed today whenever I was putting all this stuff together. This season is decidedly shorter than other seasons. It's only 15 episodes and rather than 22. And it says King of the Hill season 9 was limited to 15 episodes primarily because Fox ordered an abbreviated season, a common scheduling tactic at the time to save money and use the show as a stable mid-season filler. Bless you. So even here at season 9, they were starting to screw with the show here. Yeah. It says additionally, frequent spots preemptions disrupted sports preemptions disrupted the original broadcast, and many of the leftover episodes were just absorbed into season 10. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Because season 10 is only 15 episodes too, and I didn't realize that it did that. I didn't realize that it narrowed down some of these seasons like that. I thought they were longer all the way throughout. Yeah, because yep, there's only 12 episodes in season 11.
Wow.
And then they go back to a full 22 for season 12.
They just started turning the screws on these guys early, didn't they?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've got King of the Hill season 9, episode 1. There's no actual log date for this one. But it says, but it's called A Rover Runs Through It, obviously as part of A River Runs Through It. What is that, Paul Newman movie?
I don't know. I don't know that movie.
I think it was Paul Newman, right? With the fly fishing and in the middle of everywhere or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
The Hills travel to Montana where Peggy attempts to make amends with her estranged rancher mother. Meanwhile, Hank clashes with the locals and
Saratoga. Is that what it's called?
What?
No, never mind.
Oh. And then Hank
That's
clashes with the locals and Henry Winkler, which I think is funny as hell. I love Henry Winkler in this one because he gets to play like the um, atypical Hollywood elite type guy.
Oh, okay. I just looked up that movie. I'd never heard of that movie before.
Really? Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've never heard that one.
Yeah, River runs through it. Big movie. I think it won an Oscar, didn't it?
I'm not sure, but
It
it
didn't.
does.
It
It
was certainly
was
in running
it,
for like Best Picture that year.
it was directed by Robert Redford, so
Yes. Yes.
and it had Brad Pitt.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah,
Okay, yeah,
it was
that's
huge at
good.
the time. Yeah, it was huge.
Yeah, I'll check it out. I'll put that on my watch list.
It's a good
Never seen
movie.
that one.
It's a good movie. It's kind of like Cocoon or something like that. It's very like grounded in normal people, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
All right, so we start this one in the Hill kitchen. They are having dinner, so it's evening, and Peggy is speaking. She said, "No, Mrs. Hill, this is advanced placement Latin." And I said, "Well, then, what's Latin for my bad?" And everybody just laughed. Uh, I there's something that I really like about coming in on the middle of a joke. It's a great way to keep the audience on their toes because they're like, "Wait, what was that?" I don't
It
know. I
would
just
be mea culpa would be my
mea
bad.
culpa. There you go.
Uh,
So the phone rings, and Bobby, of course, is still laughing at the joke. He goes, "Mom, you kill me." She gets up and answers the phone. "Hello? Yes. Right. Okay. Fine then. Thank you." She hangs up and just goes back to her seat at the dinner table. And Hank's like, "Telemarketer?" She goes, "No, it's my mother." "Your mother? Wow, that's been what, 20 years?" She goes, "Mm-hmm." He goes, "Well, what did she say?" "She wants us to come to the ranch this weekend." "In Montana?" "Mm-hmm." "Really? Do you think you could knock it off with all the personal questions, Hanks? All you ever do is grill me about my emotional life, pushing and prodding me to talk about my feelings. It's like living with Barbara freaking Walters." And she storms out. For those children out there who don't know who Barbara Walters is, she was a very famous interviewer and news person.
oh,
70s,
very famous.
80s.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
she might have been one of the first women to be as big as she was in the news industry
She was
in
huge, yeah,
journalism.
it was her and Cronkite and those guys, about that same
Gene
time.
Shalit,
Yeah, yeah.
Frank
Um,
McGee was another one. I was real big into news. I really like news people. Lee Merriweather.
oh, I remember Lee Merriweather, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think Estelle Parsons was there too. They had that Today Girls or whatever it was. It was
Mhm.
something they did back then. They called them the tea pourers.
The tea pourers.
Yeah.
So, she stormed off into the bedroom, and she is on the bed folding clothes very forcefully. Hank comes in, and she goes, "The nerve. She spends my whole childhood criticizing me and my whole adulthood ignoring me. Now she wants me to visit? What for?" He says, "Well, I know it's unpleasant, but have you considered that she might be, you know, dying?"
Yeah.
She goes, "No chance. Dying's not her style. That would be a sign of weakness." Says, "I think this not having contact with your mother thing might have a downside." She goes, "Don't be ridiculous. It's been great." She's just rough on this. He says, "I think you've allowed your imagination to run wild in your head. Your mom's become some kind of crazy evil spirit with the power of eternal life. But really, she's just an old, tired cattle rancher woman who misses her daughter and wants to make peace. That's why she called you tonight. Yep, that old cow's just looking for her calf." What a way to describe a woman. Uh,
That's a way to do it.
Peggy says, "My God, Hank, of course. You really are an emotional genius, aren't you? You really are my Barbara Walters." Now we transition over to the alley. You got all four guys standing there. So you got Hank, Bill, Boomhauer, and Dale. Hank, of course, is telling them about what's happening. He says, "I've been waiting 20 years for this trip. Montana. It even sounds rugged." Bill says, "I almost threw up once in Montana. I made it to Idaho." And then Dale, "Making it out of the car would have been the real accomplishment." So Bill threw up in a car in Idaho. Just letting you know. Uh, Hank says, "So I've already decided this is where Bobby will spend his summers. Every fall he'll come back taller and heartier and maybe just a little bit quieter." He goes, "Well, I better go pack." He goes off to pack, and the three of them are standing there. Dale turns to Boomhauer and goes, "Whoa, Boomhauer, you're taking this well." I mean, Boomhauer said nothing. He didn't move. He didn't say anything. It's great. All right, so we are off to Montana. We
Montana.
don't get to see them get on the plane. We don't get to see them get off the plane. We just see them at a big thing that says "Welcome to Montana," and you see the big mountains off in the airport.
Yeah, it's a
out
very,
behind
very
them.
beautiful state.
It's
Carved
good.
up by glaciers millions of years
Yeah.
ago has given its unique look with mountains and like the rolling hills and stuff like
Is that
that.
where the Mount Rushmore is? Is it in Montana?
No, it's in the Dakotas.
Dakotas. That's right. I always
I
get
want to
that
say it's in
confused.
South Dakota, the
You ever
Black
been there?
Mountains. No, I've not. This one of the places I would like to be and go and see.
Yeah, I've never been there either. I think it would be cool, but it's one of those things where I'm like, I bet you go there and you go, huh, yeah, that's pretty. And then you're like, what else is there to do? You know?
Probably not much.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's a great thing. It's just like Grand Canyon, you know. You can go down on and ride a donkey down to the bottom, I guess, but that's about it. All right,
Nah, that one I don't agree with. I've been
the
all over
Grand
the
Canyon,
Grand Canyon. Oh, it is
yeah,
absolutely beautiful. Yeah, no, it's
gorgeous
awesome.
place, huh?
Been in it and out of it. I've been all the way to the bottom and back. I've been there
Consensually, of
twice
course.
actually. Yeah, it was consensually. I've been there twice actually. The place that I went to was we camped out on the north rim of the Grand Canyon, and then the place where we were at, there was this old cabin type thing, and it was like a gathering place. It was pretty huge,
Right?
uh, old wooden structure, and it actually sadly got burnt up in a forest fire
Oh,
a few
really?
years back. Yeah, yeah.
That's too
Beautiful,
bad.
beautiful place though. Yeah, watching the sunset, drinking hot cocoa in this old cabin with like a wood fire going. It
Yeah,
was awesome. Yeah, it was
yeah.
awesome.
I bet that was cool. So they're at the airport and they're staring at these mountains, and Hank says, "Ha, Purple Mountain's Majesty." And then Bobby's like, "Is there anything fun to do around here?" Says Bobby, "There's nowhere more fun in all of America." He has no idea about this, but he's saying it anyway. They've got
Well, yeah.
horses and tractors and people who know how to grow their own food and fix their own roofs. You want fun? You're standing in a 5-ring circus of simplicity and self-reliance. And Bobby says, uh-oh. Then the rental car guy comes up to him. He goes, "That's your rental there in space too." He looks over, and it is a Range Rover, where we get the Rover runs through it portion of it.
Yeah.
Uh, Hank goes, "No, no, that's one of those Rovers. I'm supposed to have a pickup." He goes, "We're all out, but this is a nicer vehicle, and you get the same price as a pickup." Uh-huh. "But I'm not interested in it's the only car we have right now." Gives him the keys and just leaves. And so Hank looks at it and he's like, "I don't want to be driving this big fancy car, but I I would be okay driving that big fancy car. I think that would be great."
Uh, yeah, they're actually not bad. They're actually pretty decent vehicles. The Range Rover, it's only been around since like I think they started production in like 1969, but they originally weren't designed as luxury vehicles. They were literally just designed as the most basic utilitarian. They've actually been pretty much on every continent. They've been everywhere. You know, they're kind of similar to Jeep in that aspect, but that they've been used in so many backwoods places in the world. Like there's this
Yeah.
place called the Dorian Gap where they took Range Rovers to the Dorian Gap. The Dorian Gap is so there's this gap. There's a jungle that connects Panama to Colombia. So actually Panama used to be Colombia, and then obviously America wanted to put a canal there and riled stuff up and all this kind
Yeah,
of stuff. And Panama and
sure.
Colombia split
What
into
we
two
do.
separate countries. But there's this gap that no highway has been built through. So there's this Trans-American Highway where you could take the highway all the way from like the deepest depths of Canada all the way through Mexico, all the way through Central America, but it stops at Panama, and there's this thing called the Dorian Gap. And there was there's only been a few times that it's been uh, they've had an expedition go through it with like a motorized vehicle, and that was
Right.
one of the ones was a 1972 Range Rover. They took a bunch of them through that swampy part of the jungle and made it through to the other side. So the Range Rover is very like functional. So it took them like 96 days in 2 Range Rovers to cross through that whole thing.
I wonder where's Range Rover made? Do you know? I
Yeah,
mean,
actually,
they're probably made in America now, but
uh, actually, Range Rover is a British vehicle.
is it?
It was used to be made by a company called British Leyland. That was the
Okay.
one who invented it. Was a company called British Leyland, but it changed hands over the years. Land Rover, it was British Leyland, and then it split to just Land Rover Limited, and then it's been a part of Jaguar. It's called Jaguar Land Rover. Its head office is in the UK. It's in a place called Coventry in the UK.
Yeah, I was wondering about that because it does very much seem like a Jeep competitor, you know?
Yeah, yeah. So they have 5 facilities in the UK, and I think they have one in India. So they do a lot of the production and everything right there in England. I
Yeah.
imagine it's similar to how we do in the United States, where a lot of our parts are made in Mexico for our cars, and they ship them here to be assembled. So I imagine that's the same thing with India and in the UK, them
Yeah.
having,
Yeah.
their economic ties uh, due to colonialism or whatever. But they,
Just a little thing like colonialism. No big deal.
yeah, yeah. So they kind of, yeah. So it's a British company owned
Okay.
by Jaguar.
That makes sense, I guess. All right, so we're now at the Platter Ranch, the whole big ranch. They're driving in. Bobby's in the back seat, and he's on his Game Boy, not even looking. They drive in. We just hear the birds chirping and stuff. And Hank says, "This is the most beautiful god dang sight I've ever seen." Peggy says, "Oh my God, there's mom." And you see her mom off in the distance. She is ringing the triangle because it's time to eat on the ranch. She goes, I wasn't completely sure until now, but you were right, Hank. I mean, look at her. Look at the way she moves. That is a different woman than the one I grew up with. Yes, there's a tenderness now. I can see it, Hank. Thank you for making me do this. Uh, she gets out of the Rover and runs over to her mom. She goes, "Oh, mom!" And her mom immediately is like, "What?" Just the most standoffish woman you've ever met in your life.
Yeah, she's
Um,
pretty rough.
she is a little rough, yeah. Later, they're having the communal dinner, with the like everything you've ever seen in a movie like this, where they're outside eating together on a long table. It's family style food and things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, Peggy says, "So, Mom, at the risk of boasting, I've become quite a little success. I won Substitute Teacher of the Year award 3 years in a row." Her mom says, "Well, how about, or what was your subject? How to avoid a life of working with your hands?" I mean, Jesus,
That's
lady.
tough. Yeah.
She goes, "No, it was Spanish." She goes, "Uh-huh." And she turns to Doc, who I didn't realize that that's Peggy's dad until about halfway through this thing.
Yeah, I didn't
Um,
realize that either. Yeah.
she goes, "Well, what do you think about it, Doc? You ever have use for a substitute teacher?" I do love Doc, though, and I love the way Stephen Root plays this guy
Yeah, he
because
just says nonsensical stuff. Yeah.
he plays him as the old genius cowboy, that tells the stories around the campfire and
Yeah,
stuff
just
like
looks
that.
off in the distance with some
Yeah, it's like a
some
cigarette commercial or something.
yeah, like some quip or something that means literally nothing to
It
anybody.
means nothing. He goes,
Yeah.
"Well, I suppose I can't tell you much that them mountains can't tell you better." Well, that means nothing, Doc. That means absolutely nothing.
Yeah, what does that even mean?
Bobby looks at Hank and goes, "What's Grandpa talking about? It didn't make any sense." Hank says, "That's talk of an old cowboy, son. You'll see someday it's the only kind of talk that does make sense." No, no, you won't, Bobby, but all right. Later, they're going to bed. Peggy is still pissed. All three are staying in one room, by the way. So there's different places for each one of them to sleep. She goes, "She's just as cold and mean and critical as she ever was. Oh, this is so hard, Hank. You can never let me become my mother. Bobby, from this day forward, I will coddle you." He goes, "All right." He's all for being coddled.
Yeah, he is.
All right. Next morning, Hank goes out to talk to the cowboys who are already out there working with the cows. And I didn't understand why Hank has a red snap pearl shirt. because boy, does he stand out amongst these guys.
Yeah, I don't know what he's trying there. Yeah.
So he goes out, morning, fellas. Thought I'd give you guys a hand today. He goes, if you like, are you sure you wouldn't rather just polish your Rover or something? He goes, oh, believe me, I didn't want it. I asked for a pickup, but that was all they had. Whatever you say, Hollywood. He goes, it's the first little dig they have at him.
Yeah.
He goes, so what are we doing today? He goes, he's got the lump jaw, got to drain the abscess. And you see a guy poke a scalpel into a big lump on this cow's head. And it starts, the pus just starts.
That's actually a
out.
thing. So lump jaw is a bacterial infection called actinomycosis.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's just like a bacteria in the jawbone or something like that, and causes a lumpy jaw.
Well, you got that
It
big
can happen to
abscess.
cattle too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's known to be in cattle, alpacas, mostly in grazing animals.
So he sticks a scalpel in there and that pus just starts spewing out, right? And all you hear is, we're going to need another bucket. And Hank's like, boop, boop, boop. It gets to Hank real quickly. Hank comes across as kind of a city boy in this thing.
Yeah, he does.
Now
He
we
really
see,
is.
I guess
He doesn't
kinda
realize
is.
how country he's not. He's American.
That's
I feel like
absolutely true right there.
I feel like that country thing could be misconstrued sometimes because there's country and then there's like farmers and people that really like rear cows and stuff like that. So there's
Yeah.
there's the culture of dressing and lingo and what you might purchase or something like that. But there's only a really like select few of those people who are actually doing this kind of stuff. Because I know country people, like my dad's pretty country, but going out there and cutting the abscess in a cow's jaw, nah, my dad probably
raising cattle
wouldn't
is
be
a whole
doing that.
different thing. Yeah. Hey, by the
Yeah.
way, I want to say, hey, Jamie Batista and Super Adsky, thanks for being here, guys. We appreciate it. Okay, so Peggy is walking along the side of her mom, who is on a horse. She goes, Mom, I know that you have some real talking to do. She goes, see that cow over there? And Peggy says, she's calving. She goes, it's coming out backwards. And she takes off on her horse. And next thing we see is both of them are in the barn around this cow. And she goes, tie her head to the wall. Keep her still. Peggy says, I'm on it. She goes, and hold my wedding ring. All right. I got to get the chains on. She goes, get back here and help me pull. 1, 2, 3. And they pull out the calf. Right. So you've seen this in a lot of movies. You've seen this in a lot of TV shows and stuff. Whenever there's a problem or a cow is coming out sideways or whatever, they do have to get in there and actually pull it out with a chain.
Yeah, for sure.
That. And so they pull out the calf and you hear, he's out. And then Peggy says, oh, well, you look at that. It's been a long time since I've seen that sight. Her mom says, I see it hundreds of times a year and it never stops amazing me. She goes, can you believe it's been 20 years and I still calved a breech without missing a beat? Her mother says, that's because you did what I told you. If you'd been out on the range by yourself, that calf would still be in there. I mean, her mother does not have a good thing to say at all.
Yeah, she seems like a very negative human being.
She goes, you ruined my childhood, Peggy said to her. She goes, oh, it's all about you, isn't it? Why don't you ever do one damn thing I asked you to? Why didn't you marry that boy from across the road? Peggy goes, Finn Grammersdorf, the alfalfa farmer's son. I just love that name, by the way.
Yeah.
She goes, her mom says, he was a decent man from good stock. Peggy says, well, I did not have feelings for him, Mom. Her mom says, no one asked you to. We were trying to run a ranch, not a feelings factory. If you'd married Finn, we'd be doing all right. But you ran away, and now we're all paying for it. Peggy says, what are you talking about? She goes, I invited you here so you could take a last look at your childhood home. We're losing the ranch. She goes, what? You're losing the ranch? Well, I don't know what to say. She says, well, how about sorry? It's all your fault. You and people like Henry Winkler, just out of the blue, you and people like Henry Winkler. And then she rides off, and Henry Winkler rides up on a horse, and she goes, Henry Winkler? He goes, howdy. I mean, I have always loved Henry Winkler just because he's so absurd. He's such a nice guy who's just completely absurd.
Yeah, he is.
Bless you. It's one of the my favorite characters that he's ever played, and it's only because the other people that played alongside him. He was on Parks and Rec, and he was this lawyer on there, and he had
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
two of the worst children in the world. And Jenny, I can't think of her last name, but she played his daughter, and she would come in and she would just be like, "Money, please," and he would give her money or whatever. And if nobody gave her money, she would be like, "Oh, okay, well, I understand. I'm just going to tear up this office until I get some money." And so she just starts smacking things on the floor and stuff. It's just so good. But
Yeah, I like my favorite thing of his is actually Waterboy.
oh yeah, yeah, he was in Waterboy. He was in
That's probably my favorite movie that he
Parks
did.
and Rec. He was in Arrested Development. He was their
Yeah,
lawyer in
Happy Days,
that.
Happy Days, obviously.
Oh yeah, he's been in.
That's
a
what
ton
I
of
always
stuff.
thought was funny about like his career arc is that the only like cool character he played was the one that got him into the industry, and then
Yeah.
everything after that he plays like a meek or milder, calmer person.
Well, the funny thing is that he's like that in real life. He's mild and meek, and he's not
Yeah.
very tall at all.
No,
But
he's
playing the
short.
Fonz, this is a Jewish boy that a very Jewish boy who, like I say, is not real tall, not very loudly spoken, and yet he was the coolest guy on that show. So, yeah, it's a pretty good acting, if you ask me. Walker, our Winkler rides up. She goes, "Henry Winkler." He goes, "Howdy." She goes, "The Fonz?" And then Hank walks up and goes, "So, how's it going with your mom?" She says, "We're losing the ranch." What? Oh, and that's Henry Winkler. And he just goes, "Howdy." Hank says, "What the hell is going on around here?" Because now we've introduced Henry Winkler. And that's going to take us to our first ad break.
First
We'll
ad
take
break.
that, and we'll be
And we'll be right back.
there. It is.
Join the Daily High Club, the premier destination for glass water pipes, vaporizers, and accessories. Since 2015, we've sold over 1 million quality products and teamed up with legends like Snoop Dogg and Tommy Chong. Ready to elevate your smoking game? Visit dailyhighclub.com for our El Primo subscription box or shop unique pieces today.
Discover the world of luxury sex toys at Luxury Toy X and indulge in the ultimate pleasure experience. For years, we have been dedicated to the belief that sexuality and wellness are essential components of a happy and healthy life. With over 70,000 satisfied customers, we take pride in our ability to provide products that enhance your sexual well-being. Join our community of satisfied customers and unlock a world of pleasure and self-discovery. Visit luxurytoyx.com today.
Apollo Neuro is a new kind of wearable that helps your body recover from stress, that helps you calm down and feel better. You sleep better, and you can get back to being yourself. Learn more at apolloneuro.com.
I'm Hunter, the founder of Hello Cake, and today we're digging into ED meds. The number one thing we hear is that guys are sick of waiting for ED meds to kick in. Traditional ED meds take about an hour to kick in as they have to go through your digestive system, where Hello Cake's ED medication dissolves under your tongue and works in about 15 minutes. That's about 3 times faster than traditional ED medication. Curious about ED meds? Go to hellocake.com.
Relax with Hemp Delicious. Organically grown hemp, massively blended with delicious organic herbs, responsibly sourced for their holistic benefits. Each sip offers calming, antioxidant-rich wellness. Brewed just for you. Sip the calm with Hemp Delicious. Find your blend at hempdelicious.com.
Baby girl, were you staring at me? You know that's not convincing, right? Try again. Well, you shouldn't just be staring then. You should taste.
I miss your presence, your laughter.
Why, hello there. We're back. Okay, so we left with Hank not really knowing what's going on the ranch here.
Listen out. Yeah.
Just met Henry Winkler for some reason. So Hank and the Cowboys are just back there kind of looking at the land. you know how it is in these kind of movies and TV shows where they're just kind of, looking off into the distance and taking in the majesty and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Uh, the cowboy says, see that trail leading up to the mountains? That's where we send the cows every April. Hank says, for spring grazing, right? He says, yep. See, it's not legally our property. The Grammersdorfs kindly shared it with us 50 years, but then their boy, Sven, moved to Seattle, so they sold the place to Henry Winkler, and he won't let us use the trail. Cows are supposed to head up there this week. Thanks to old man Winkler, they got nowhere to go. Hank's like, well, why would a guy like him ever be living out here? The other one says, all you Hollywood folks are moving here. You burn out on city life. You come out here, see all this wide open space, and you start making fancy pizzas. He goes, fellas, look, you have every right to be mad, but for the record, I'm not from Hollywood. I'm from Arlen, Texas. And he goes, Arlen, New York, Hollywood, it's all the same. He goes,
I'm
well,
from Arlen, Texas. They don't give a damn. Yeah.
I love how you equate Arlen, Texas to New York and Hollywood. Hank says,
Well, I guess you got to think Montana
yeah, I guess so.
is huge, and their population is not so huge.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got to be like I think total land mass here, it says it's 145,550 square miles of land, and their population is only 1.1 million.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot. Okay, so it says, fellas, look, you have every right to be mad. And then they call him New York and Hollywood, and he goes, well, why don't you just rent the trail from Henry Winkler? They go, we're broke. You Hollywood folks made property taxes skyrocket. Sound familiar? You got any more questions?
My bad. I don't mean to interrupt you again.
Yeah.
But in the lower 48 states, out of all 50 states in population density, it's 48th. So it's at the bottom percentage of population density, which the bottom three are Montana, Wyoming, and Alaska. So there's 7.8 people per square mile in Montana, 6 people per square mile in Wyoming, and 1.3 people per square mile in Alaska.
1.3.
Yeah, Texas is 23 on that list. There's 117 people per square mile, with the most dense place in the United States being DC, but the most dense state is New Jersey.
1.3 people per mile. That is crazy.
Yeah, per square mile. That's crazy. Yeah, that's a very, very well. The population is only 733,000 in Alaska, and they have 570,000 square miles of land, being the largest state. Wow. So, and Texas kind of surprised with being as low as it is as well. Yeah. But it's still 117 people per square mile here in Texas.
I wonder when that was when that survey's from.
It's just the basic information you can find on Wikipedia, so it could be a few years old.
Yeah. I feel like our population has gone up immensely over the last few years.
Oh yeah, for sure. And Austin just became a million people city, and I think it's now the 14th largest city in the United States.
Wow. Yeah, I saw the other day that the guy that bought the
12th largest city.
The guy that bought Trailblazers in Portland, he's talking about moving, and one of the places he's talking about is Austin.
Oh wow.
So, which would be a terrible idea, but all right. So he goes, why don't you do it? He goes, dang it, I'm not Steven Spielberg. And the guy goes, well, I respectfully disagree. Well, I don't know how you can just disagree that somebody's Spielberg or not, but okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we're back at the barn. We're with Peggy, and Hank is talking to her, and he goes, and then he told me you can't even buy groceries in town anymore. It's all been taken over by gourmet restaurants and day spas. She goes, well, yeah, it's progress, I guess. He goes, what do you mean? Aren't you upset by all this? I cannot wait to wave a last goodbye to this place. He goes, what about this saddle? And we look at the saddle, and it's got her name stitched on it and everything. He goes, are you telling me this doesn't bring back any good memories? She goes, of course. It reminds me of Missoula, my old gelding horse. Mom made me castrate him myself. Hank just like, oh, okay.
Whoa.
Bobby is out walking around, and this is one of the only times I can think of that a character is not speaking out loud, but we hear his internal monologue. You know, he's just thinking, and we hear it.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah, for sure.
He's walking around playing his Game Boy, and there's just this beautiful countryside all around him and everything. And he goes, "Man, this place is boring. Nothing happens here. I'm going to try to sleep for 2 days straight. Hope this battery lasts all weekend." And then he sees a horse, and he's like, "Oh, hello." And he goes back to his Game Boy. The horse sticks his snout right up over the Game Boy. He goes, "Oh, you want some candy? Well, I don't blame you. I've had hay." Like, when did Bobby eat hay? But okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So Bobby has been contacted by nature now. Now we Hank approaches Doc, who is obviously Peggy's dad, and he's working on something. He goes, "Doc, I heard about what's happening, and it breaks my heart." He goes, "Well, I never could figure out what the sky was thinking, but the soil, she don't keep too many secrets." Again, no idea, Doc. That just makes no sense. He goes, "I
No.
will never forget you, Doc Platter. Dang it, I'm not going to let this happen." So he gets in his Land Rover and drives over to Henry Winkler's house, which is a crazy ass phrase when you think about Hank Hill. Um, but he walks up to his door, and Winkler comes out and he goes, "Well, hi there. I don't know you, but I'd absolutely love that to change." He goes, "I'm Henry." He goes, "Hank Hill. I'm just up the road, and I thought I'd come by for a friendly visit." He goes, "Hank, I love that. This is so the West. I wish the whole world would stop by for a friendly visit." And Hank just goes, "Oh, God." Because he knows he's dealing with Stick Boy. He's dealing with coastal elites. He's dealing with all those people that he has such a hard time with, but he's doing it for his wife. He's doing it for the ranch. So they go out to the balcony, and they're both sitting there talking and looking at the majesty of the mountains. And he goes, "So, Henry, the reason I'm here," he goes, "Oh, shh, don't you love how peaceful it is out here? You know, back in LA, my brain, it just gets muddy. The agents, the lawyers, the paparazzi, they walk into my skull and they get dirt in there. You know what I mean?" He goes, "Well, I'm not sure. That's why I fish." He goes, "Well, hey, I fish too." He goes, "Then you understand. You know, I always say that fishing is like a washing machine for your brain. It's so deliciously zen." He goes, "I think I might do a little bit different fishing." He goes, "Oh, you know what? Hold on for a second. I can explain this so much better." He gets up and he turns on some jazz. It's very loud. Hank kind of winces at that. And he goes, "Thelonious Monk."
Yeah.
He goes, "Thelonious Monk. He must have fished." I'm not sure that he fished. Then a waiter comes out with martinis, and Hank's like, "What the?" He goes, "I mean, look at that bluff right there. Perfect for squares." He goes, "Squares? The Hollywood squares. I'm the executive producer. Can you imagine Kathy Lee, Joan, and Melissa and Dom and the giant squares gazing out at all this majesty? And all this majesty is gazing right back at them." He goes, "Well, that's actually the sort of land use issue that I'd like to discuss. See, the reason I'm Hank, you know, you and I are artists. It's our job to bring humanity and nature closer together." He goes, "Look, I'm not an artist. I'm not from Hollywood. I'm from Arlen, Texas." He goes, "Oh my God, I adore Austin." And Hank's like, "Arlen." Like, he gets a little upset there at the end because he's just trying to tell this guy, you got to let these guys through. And yet he won't really let him get a word in edgewise. And Arlen is not the same as Austin. That is an insult to Hank, honestly. All right. So Peggy is she's looking for Bobby, and she goes out by Doc, and she goes, "Dad, have you seen Bobby?" And that is the first time I realized that was her father. You know, when
Oh
she
yeah,
said
yeah, yeah.
that.
When you said that.
And he goes, "Well, the way I figure it, the grass on the oh, there he is." Like he started into one of those long-winded things, and she's just like, "Oh, there he is. Bye." He is over there brushing a horse. And she comes up to him. He goes, "Hey, Mom, this is Tennessee." She goes, "Yeah, it's nice. Look, Bobby, we've got to pack up and get out of here." He goes, "Oh, okay. Well, I guess I'll be seeing you," talking to the horse. She goes, "To clean his hooves?" She goes, because she kind of sees how sad Bobby was now that he's connected with this animal. And she goes, "Do you clean his hooves?" He goes, "That's one of the most important parts of grooming a horse." He goes, "Oh, okay. Well, I guess next time." And she kind of looks at him. And then we transition to where
Next time. He's like,
yeah,
I forgot it this time. We'll just yeah. We'll do it
she's
next
put
time.
she's put the saddle on the horse, the Peggy saddle, and she wants Bobby to get up on the horse because she wants him to experience riding a horse. She goes, "Are you sure?" Bobby says, "You sure he won't mind?" She goes, "Honey, he weighs 1,000 pounds, and to him, you're like a hat. Now, don't slouch, straighten up your back. That's right. That's right. He gets up there. She goes, now go ahead. Give him a little squeeze with your heels. The horse starts walking, and Bobby's like, hey, we're going. Tennessee, you're a genius. Like that hadn't been bred into that horse. Now we're back at Henry Winkler's. And Hank says, so if you'd be willing to open that trail for just a few days a year, that would make all the difference. He goes, Hank, have you ever seen the movie A River Runs Through It? Can you imagine if cows tromped across that river, getting all tangled up in the fly fishing lines? Now that would be an awful. He goes, now that would be an awful movie.
That would not be a good movie. Yeah.
He goes, well, there's a river over there, and cattle trail is way over there. So it seems like you could let the cattle through without much of a problem. Excuse me, it would be a serious problem. Cows have very dirty feet. I love how he calls them feet. You know,
Feet, yeah.
cow feet.
The cow
He
feet.
goes, they walk through poo, and they could track giardia microbes onto the land, which could wash into the river and contaminate the fish. There's no fish, Hank. Then what am I washing my brain with? He goes, look, cows and fish have gotten along fine for centuries. Hank, sure, I could open the cattle road and tomorrow they would be staked. But someday our children will ask us, where are the trees? Hank says, what they'll ask us is, where's the goddamn steak? So we go back to the Platter Ranch. You got the two cowboys on the porch, and Hank drives up, and they both look at him and go, enjoy your celebrity cocktail, Mr. Hollywood. He goes, dang it, I am sick and tired of everyone's asinine ideas about me. I am not some redneck, and I'm not some Hollywood jerk. I'm something else entirely. I'm complicated. Everybody just laughs at him. And he kind of sighs, because if he said that to somebody, or if he heard that from somebody, he would feel the same way. He'd be like, you're complicated. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, Bobby's on the back of a horse. He finally ropes a calf, and he goes, Mom, I did it. She goes, oh, yeah. Then Hank comes walking up, and he's like, Peggy, let's go home. I've had it with Henry Winkler, and I've had it with your family and this goddamn ranch. She goes, Hank, are you insane? Look at that. She points at Bobby riding the horse. He goes, dang that Henry Winkler. This should have been the best moment of my life, and I can't even enjoy it. And Peggy says, look how happy he is. Reminds me of myself at his age. He goes, but I thought you said you were never happy here. She goes, I just let my awful memories of Mom cloud my good memories of growing up here. He goes, well, that's nice. Anyway, if we can hurry, we can get the 5:45 flight to Dallas. He's ready to go. She says, we can't leave now. Maybe I didn't marry Sven Grammersdorf, but I can still save this ranch. And she walks off. Hank's like, wait, Sven Grammersdorf. And that takes us to our second commercial break, and we will be
right back.
Farmhounds offers natural treats and chews made with quality products that support family farms, regenerative agriculture, and humane farming practices. Give your dog the best with wholesome, organic ingredients that promote health and happiness. Shop now at farmhounds.com.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated. Each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com. Looking for tickets to the hottest shows, games, and events? Ticket Liquidator is your one-stop shop for great prices, no hassles, and guaranteed tickets. Since 2003, we've been connecting buyers and sellers, providing access to sold-out events at prices lower than most secondary market options. Whether it's sports, theater, or concerts, our massive nationwide network ensures you get the tickets you want, guaranteed. For the best seats at the biggest events, start with Ticket Liquidator today at ticketliquidator.com. That's TICKETLIQUIDATOR.com. Ticket Liquidator.
Deep in the heart
of Texas.
Yeah, that is boy, that thing is hard to get out of my head once I hear it.
Yeah, me too.
All right, it's nighttime. We're at the cabin with the cowboys, and Peggy says, "What about our neighbors to the east? Don't they have an old cattle trail?" One of the cowboys says, "You mean the Fondas?" And then Hank says, "Hey, there's that old white-haired fella just up the north. Looked like he'd spent some years working outdoors. Has he got a trail?" The other guy goes, "Larry David, good luck." He goes, he goes, "Forget it, Peggy. This place ain't about agriculture anymore. The Hollywood folks changed the landscape and they changed the laws." She gets an idea.
It's funny that they talk about this then because that's what Montana has become. Really, is a it's got a lot of from what I understand. I was watching some YouTube documentary about it where this guy was out in Montana where these old homesteads are being sold off and sectioned into 2 or 3 acre lots and turned into new homes.
It's too bad, honestly.
Yeah.
All right, so it says, "Forget it, Peggy. This place ain't about agriculture anymore." And she gets an idea, and she goes in there and starts researching. She's flipping through books and reading and reading and reading. And she goes, "Ordinance of 1857, if an act of God or other adverse." And then her mom comes up behind her. She walks up behind her in the bathroom. She goes, "Typical. You're on vacation for 2 days. You can't stay away from your books." Why would you not want your kid to read a book? I mean, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But again, her mom's being very negative.
Books ain't gonna birth cows.
She said she's on the next morning. They're on the horses. All the cattle are behind them. And Hank's on a horse next to Peggy, and he goes, "Peggy, you sure this isn't, pretty darn bad idea?" She goes, "Don't you worry. I know what I'm doing, and it's going to work. You both remember the plan, Bobby. You stay by me. Hank, bring up the rear." And she goes, "Let's ride." And you hear bells jingling, the cows mooing, all that stuff, and they're headed to Osage city limits. Now, the next cut we see is to all the rich people in town. So they're getting their Starbucks and they're getting their this and that. And they're having their avocado toast and they're getting in their valet parking car. Like there's one where the valet has to lift the lady up into the car. Her car is so big. And here we go. These cattle start driving through town with Peggy at the front. And one of the little girls with the rich people goes, "Look, mommy, moo cow." And then you hear a tires screeching and stuff because these cows are being driven right down Main Street. As that's happening, a cop looks over at Peggy and goes, "Ma'am, what are you doing with a herd of cattle on the public thoroughfare?" She goes, "We're heading to the mountains. We're taking the long route because our cattle trail has been blocked by Henry Winkler." You hear a bunch of horns honking and stuff like that. You hear there's a guy trying to back out, and there's some cows behind him. He goes, "Oh, come on! I got people coming for brunch." And so he gets out and he tries to shoo the cow away. Cow gets in his car, tears up his seats, takes a shit in there, and he's just like, "Ah," starts screaming and stuff.
Yeah.
They continue riding. And the cop has to catch up on foot next to Peggy on her horse. And he goes, "Ma'am, I'm sorry you're having a dispute with your neighbors, but you can't take it out on the town. These folks are just trying to enjoy their vacation." Peggy says, "Well, then, here's some vacation reading for them. Article 32C from the Osage County Charter. Should a dedicated cattle road become impassable, Main Street can serve as a temporary pass until such time as the road reopens." He goes, "This law was made up more than 100 years ago. It doesn't have any meaning now." She goes, "Well, it means plenty to us, sir. So we'll be driving cattle right through here, 50 head at a time, until we get all 2,000 head up in the mountains, unless Mr. Winkler would like to yield his road." And then she smacks one of the cows, and it starts a stampede. And Bobby's like, "Woo, stampede!" And he just starts riding with them. Hank's glasses kind of fall off his head, and one of the cowboys comes up right behind him, catches his glasses and hands them to him. And he goes, "Hank, you crazy cowboy, what the hell are you guys doing?" He goes, "Well, right about now, I'm trying not to die." And they say, well, lift up off the saddle. You won't bounce as much. So they see what he's doing. They see what they're doing to help. And so the Cowboys are on their side now. Later, we're at the ranch, and they're all watching the cattle pass off in the distance, right? They're watching them go to where they need to. Peggy's in the kitchen with her mom, and she goes, "Can you believe I got Henry Winkler to open up this trail?" So what do you think, Mom? Peggy Hill, educator, mother, rancher. Her mother says, "You were just fixing the mess you made in the first place, and half them cattle in the drive wasn't even branded yet. We could have lost them to rustlers." Damn, lady.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Never satisfied.
No, Peggy storms out, and Hank sees her come out, and he goes, "Peggy, check this out. Hey, where are you going?" She goes, "To finish the work around here. I will castrate, vaccinate, dehorn, and brand every steer in the herd by myself." He goes, "Peggy, that's crazy.
Man.
I don't care. I'm not stopping until my mother sees that I just thought if I saved this ranch, it would finally make Mom proud of me, but it didn't." He goes, "I'm sorry, Peggy. If saving the ranch didn't change anything between you two, nothing's gonna." She goes, "Well, then what did we come here for? What was the point of this whole stupid trip?" And then you hear kind of a horse go off in the distance. Hank points up to kind of a mesa or a ridge, and there's Bobby on a horse with a cowboy hat, just kind of looking off into the beautiful land. And that is it. They both realized
That was it.
that's why they came. So Bobby got exposed to nature and the ranch and everything.
And he was good at riding horses.
Yes, and this is one of those weird ones, kind of like in the first season, where we have a Hank fill in the blanks after the credits, right? And so as the credits are running, we see Hank and Henry Winkler out in a stream fly fishing together. And he goes, "Oh, hello there. Mr. Winkler here would like you to know that it was always his intention to let the Platter's cattle use his trail because cattle, like jazz music, feed the soul of America, and that if all the leaders of the world would just fish together, the planet would live in harmony." And,
Well, there you
Henry
go.
Winkler looks over at him. He goes, "Thank you, Hank." And that's it. That is the end of the series. The end of the episode. After the credits, we get Sven Grammersdorf. That's it. That's it.
Grammersdorf.
Season 9, episode 1.
Yeah,
in
that was
the books.
a quick one. Yeah.
It's a quick one, but it is actually a good episode. It's one of those bottle episodes, that can kind of stand on its own, but very good. Very good stuff.
Yeah, these are the seasons that aren't as good.
Yeah, but this is a nice feel good one, and you're introduced to Peggy's dad and her mom, in a big way and things like that.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
it wasn't bad at all. All right. We are back on track now, guys. We are back where we're supposed to be with this show. Mondays and Fridays. Fridays are That Ain't Right Fridays, and we do things that are kind of adjacent to King of the Hill. But Rusty, you want to tell them where they can find us if they want more?
Yeah, you can find us at BWAAAKOTH at all social media. And then you can go to youtube.com/@BWAAAKOTH if you're just listening to us and want to see some of our videos. So there you go.
I had plans to go to the ATX TV festival this year. Had some press credentials, but my dad got sick and had a major heart operation, so I got to take him to some appointments and stuff. So I'm probably not going to make it to that this year, but we'll hit it up again next year. We do have a couple of big things coming up locally. We just finished the block party here in Waco. Band one called the Bottomless, yeah, something like that. But they're from Austin. They played last year. They finally won this year, so they got $1,000. The next big thing I believe we have coming up is we have an AI leadership conference that's coming up in September. And then October 10th, I wanted to tell you about this because we haven't talked about it. We're having a paranormal fest. So
cool.
yeah, so ghostly stuff and UFOs and all of that kind of stuff. We'll have that at the PAC also. So I might talk to you about us maybe doing a UFO version of this or something like that.
Yeah,
because I know there is the one where Joseph thinks his dad's an alien.
Yeah, there is one. Yeah, I remember that episode. Yeah.
That might be kind of fun. kind of fun to cover that. But other than
Yeah,
that, guys, we're working hard and getting things done. And thank you all for being here. We love it when you guys show up.
Yep, we appreciate you guys.
It's been a lot of fun. So I think that leaves us with one thing left to say.
Oh, we Matanye.
We Matanye indeed. Y'all take it easy.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.